And I suppose we have to be honest, it's a pretty awful game of football. But then again, it's not about the performance, it's about the result. And I suppose you could say, Gordon, if we were looking for a draw tonight, we'd be quite comfortable, because Belarus don't look to pose a great threat. But a draw's not going to be enough.
Not at the moment. Sometimes, as Paul says, sometimes we're looking for a 47-minute interval in order to talk about the action we've just seen, but I think we'd be stretching it a bit tonight.
Yeah.
It's been pretty dull stuff. I think that if you're looking at what Scotland are trying to do, it's probably spot on. We're just trying to keep it tight, and we're hoping to catch them out. We're hoping to, I think we're going for a 1-0 win. That's as simple as that, and so far you have to say it's going to plan. We haven't really, we haven't created an awful lot ourselves, but we're not really getting much against us in terms of chances being created by Belarus.
There's not a lot of composure about either side, really, John, I suppose. And I keep looking for Scotland to get it down and just string a few passes together. But
well, I think our biggest failing is when we do win possession of the ball, we've got plenty of men behind the ball, and we do win it. I think it's important we try and retain possession. There's no point winning it and giving it straight back to the opposition, because they're just coming back at us. And I think if we can work on that, then we can go forward. But at the moment, we're nice and compact, plenty of players behind the ball, limited them to maybe one good chance of all at the back post, but apart from that, they haven't got in behind us, haven't created us any problems, and really not a lot to fear. So hopefully the second half we can gain in confidence, get the ball moving, commit a little bit more players forward and try and create some chances, because at the end of the day we're going to try and get a victory. Yeah,
we have to do that. You feel for Kenny Miller, who is working his socks off, but he's a lone target man, and you fire a ball up and it's coming straight back at it.
I said that before the game. He's isolated up there, so when the ball's going up to him, you've got to be so precise with the pass, and too often when the ball's went up to him, it hasn't been a good ball. If he's coming short, you've got to lay it in front of him so he's coming on, he can lay it to the midfield player. Too often it's at his chest or up high. So it's difficult for him, so we've got to work and be more precise with the passing. I
think a big factor, Dougie, is, I mean, you consider what Walter Smith's got to do in terms of how he's setting his team up. How many of these players play in that system, and within that system, in that position, and they're all playing there today? Kenny Miller doesn't play on his own up front at Wolves. Lee McCulloch doesn't play midfield in one tucked in.
Graham Alexander doesn't play left back.
Christian Daly doesn't play right back. Stephen Presley doesn't play in a back three. Now there's Andy Webster. You know, Barry Ferguson doesn't play in a 3-5-2 for a 3-1-5-1 formation. So that's a big problem we've got, and I think a lot of these guys are adjusting as well, where they're actually having to play for their country. Now you think, does Walter get with a different system? But he's trying to achieve something tonight, which is basically get a win and put us back in with a chance.
And to be fair, as I say, if we were only looking for a draw, you'd be reasonably happy with it, but we do need to win this one. And you wonder at what stage Walter is going to have to say, John, right, we're going to have to throw men on, get McFadden on perhaps, commit men forward to try and snatch the goal.
I think he'll go in at half-time and say to the players, look, this team aren't as good as we thought. I think we've contained them well. Now we're going to have to try and step it up a little bit, be more precise, more players going forward with the ball. When the ball's played forward to Kenny, you've got to have the midfield players trying to get beyond them. Too many times it's going forward and we've got nobody in the last third. Christian, who's a centre-half, has been asked to play wide right. I don't think he's hardly crossed the halfway line. So maybe try and get these guys a little bit pushed forward a little bit and try and pin them in. Because when we do get forward and we get corners or free kicks, that's when we're at our most dangerous. And to get corners and free kicks, you've got to try and commit men, players forward.
We do have a penetration problem, playing with only one man up front. Not much support coming from midfield, as the lads were saying. And it's a hard old shift for Kenny Miller, Gordon, isn't it?
It's really tough. It took us a while to get in possession of the ball, and this was when we started off doing it. We started to pass the ball about, and it was a nice little spell of just keeping possession, and that was keeping Belarus back. They'd been attacking us right from the very start, and we kept the ball there. A bit lucky in that occasion there, but that was a good thing. But in each occasion, you see, you know, having got into that position, then we're looking for the penetrating ball, and we gave it away. And that's the biggest problem we've got. It's the final ball most of the time. On that occasion, it was McCulloch who tried to get forward, but Kenny Miller's been the target most of the time. But you know, keeping possession like we're doing here is the way to play in this game, and try and just make sure that we just dampen the enthusiasm of the crowd, and we actually put Belarus off in terms of how we play. But it was just too often, from having started things, there's Barry Ferguson looking for a forward ball there, not happy, that from those sort of situations, there once again, you know what I mean? That was what was happening.
It's so frustrating, John, isn't it?
We're just trying to force it. We're keeping possession, 4, 5, 6 passes. There's no problem with keeping it 7, 8, 9, 10 and waiting and picking your moment to play the ball forward. And I think 3 or 4 occasions we just chose to go with a forward killer pass too early when we don't have to do it. Again, this was good passing, keeping possession. Barry's looking nice and composed, turning, trying to keep the ball. Again, trying to play the killer pass a little bit And at the end of the day, I think there was 3, 4, 5 passes like that, giving the ball away, forcing it forward when it's not on to go forward. If it's not on to go forward, go sideways. If it's not on to go sideways, go back, but try and retain possession of the ball. And it gives you so much confidence when you've got the ball. If you're constantly chasing the ball and giving it away, it drains the confidence, drains the energy, and as the game goes on, they'll get confident.
Having said that, we are leaving 1 or 2 gaps at the back, Gordon. Sometimes defenders trying to get forward in an attempt to help out, but we've got to watch this as well, haven't we?
Absolutely. That was the one where Gary Caldwell, he's playing a sitting position, but he got forward there, he got fouled, he wasn't happy, he feels he was fouled, but look at the gap. That's all of us, that's the danger. That little ball was played in there, and Belarus were looking for a free kick. Then if it had been a free kick, then you're looking at it's a last man job, and it might have been an odd and off there. But that was just because he broke forward. Then this situation happened. You know, it's pretty gone. It was on his good foot, and he's sliced it there, and all of a sudden we were put under pressure, and you see a little gap develop at the back. Stephen Prez has got 2 players to mark there, doesn't know which one to take. He let the guy drift away to the back post, and all of a sudden the shot came in. Not a good one, but we just have to be very careful at times.
It's Presley, Webster, and
I think this was a terrific ball at the back post. We were exposed here, and the guy picked his pass well. It was a good delivery at the back post, and thankfully for us, he's put it over the bar. But that was probably their best chance of the game. And in fairness, they've had possession. They've got down our left-hand side on a number of occasions, and their crossing's been very, very poor, which is good news for us. But they haven't penetrated us, so there's not a great deal there for us to fear. So, as I say, hopefully they'll go into that dressing room at the half-time and gain confidence from that and say, hey, we can do better in possession. They haven't been able to cut us open. Let's try and take the game to them now and try and get a goal.
We're certainly not passing our way through them or creating much of a threat in open play. In fact, it took Scotland virtually 23 minutes to get our first ball into the box, and it came from this free kick, but it was a good free kick, wasn't it?
That was a terrific delivery there from Gary Caldwell. Terrific height, and initially I thought Christian was going to get it. Maybe if he came another couple of steps forward towards the ball, he'd have got there. But all credit to the goalkeeper, he was nice and positive and came out. But Christian just seemed to hang there instead of going towards the ball. This was another one, maybe a little bit too high. Yeah. But one thing this tells you, the goalkeeper's going to come for balls, so it's important. If we are putting balls in the box, we don't want big, high, floaty ones, because they'll come all day long. I think that's the thing we should probably learn from the first one. The keeper will come. They probably do see Scotland as a threat. Set pieces, aerial power that Scotland do have. I mean, you get 5 centre-backs in your team, you've got to have somebody who can head the ball, obviously. And I think that was the threat. So their goalkeeper's been primed to come. So when we're taking set pieces like that, we've got to make sure we put it in an area where the goalkeeper's not going to attack it. Catch him in 2 minds. That's yes. We need to do that, don't we? Yeah. Kenny Miller, it's easy to be critical. He's got a lone shift up front. But there's always been a bit of a question mark, Gordon, about Kenny's decision-making. We saw it in Italy, perhaps, and we saw it again there, didn't we? I think in those sort of situations he becomes a bit single-minded, and even Saturday when we got the goal, he was taking it on his man when he was fouled, and the goal was scored, obviously, with James not firing. But on that occasion there, you know, I'm not sure he's looking up. He's decided to have the shot, and he's not really looking for anybody else to play in, and that's what happens. He's a striker, I suppose. He's a striker, and he's selfish, and that's why he does score his fair share of goals. But I felt that this was the one, and we all thought it right away. John and I both agreed, this is a volley shot. That's got to be a left foot volley. As soon as he takes a touch, he's out of play. It was a bad decision from there. I think he'll look back on this and say, why didn't I take a swing at my left foot and try and volley it into the net? Yeah. He took his touch on his chest and he took it away from the goal, and that was a chance gone. The class act in the Belarus side certainly is the Stuttgart player who is reputed to have half the clubs in Europe chasing him. Arsenal seem to be favourites for his signature. Sasha Gleb, which is apparently how we pronounce it, and he plays some lovely balls with that left foot, doesn't he? I think he is the one player in our team who's got the technical ability to cause us problems. Thankfully he hasn't been round about our box too often. A lot of the time he's been receiving the ball in deeper areas, which is good news for us. But that was a perfect pass. Fortunately for us, our number 9, the striker, had a bad touch, but it was a beautifully weighted pass through to him. He's played well, but Bulliga, the other striker, actually, he's come in tonight. That was unusual for him to take a bad touch, because between the two of them, they have made nearly everything happen, Bulliga and Kleb together, and they're the threat through the second half. If I was Walter Smith right now, I'd be highlighting that those are the two that need to be kept quiet. Kleb especially, because he's a playmaker in midfield, you've got to make sure you just go side of him and just make sure he's playing everything from there, but he also picks out passes and he is a threat, as we saw with that little run. But Bulliga has played well up front. He said the two Scotland defenders, both Daly and Presley, have been booked for fouling. Yeah, so that worries me slightly. They're both fairly silly bookings, and we may pay a price for that. It was 0-0 on Saturday, of course, at Hampden, and Scotland came out in the second half, managed to get the opening goal fairly on. Different sort of game, but maybe we can take some hope from what happened on Saturday at Hampden.